10 Nelson, your community access television. Programming on this channel is made by local volunteers. If you would like to be a part of your community television, please call 354-4200 or write to Shaw Cable, 613 Ward Street, Nelson, B1L1T2.
This week we found ourselves at the Nelson Public Library talking with Chief Librarian Deb Thomas. The library has changed a lot since I was a kid. I remember going in and just checking out books. Well, it's amazing what's available these days. Let's take a look behind the scenes and see what the library is up to today.
So I'd like to welcome you to our show, Deb. And thank you for inviting us to come down to the library and explore a bit of your world with you today. I'm thinking back to when I was a youngster, you know, and I went to the library, and pretty much in those days long ago, the library was a place where one went primarily to read books. And things have changed quite a bit since then. Could you tell us in what ways the library is a new place?
Learning resource centers is what they call them in schools often.
Oh, that's a good term.
Yes. Here we're still calling it a library. To me, a library is a place that loans things out. It doesn't matter if it's a microscope or an audio cassette or a book. We don't have microscopes.
I was just going to ask about that. I'm glad you clarified that. No microscopes, folks.
No microscopes. But there are libraries that do have toy lending libraries, or they have, what am I thinking of, telescopes. Telescopes. Some that have telescopes. Actually, when I went to a library as a kid, we also mostly had books, but I remember when I was a teenager, we started to have records in there, and that was a big deal. It was really delightful to be able to take out a record that I might not be able to afford to buy for myself.
Yeah.
Now we still have a lot of records in the library. We've had records for quite some time. That was probably the main audiovisual thing we had for years in this library. Unfortunately, of course, most of them are now quite battered and old. But we are replacing that with a good audio cassette collection, and now we're getting into compact discs.
Compact discs?
Yes,
wow, that's really new age here.
Yes, that's right. We only have about 5 or 6 at the moment. We just wanted to try it out and see what kind of use we got. And we're getting good use. They're mostly on the same kind of music. They're mostly old jazz. And there's one, I think we've got Good Morning Vietnam or something. But they're getting good use. And
so you feel that people know that they're even here?
We haven't made a big deal out of it. I did mention it once in one of my columns in the newspaper, but we haven't really made a big advertising, because we don't have much of a collection yet. And it's not a very wide range of a collection, you know, with types of music.
Are you open to donations in this area in case anyone has some
Certainly.
CDs they want to get rid of?
It would be the same with the CDs as it is with books. We decide if it's appropriate for our collection or if it's useful in the collection. If it's not, we either sell it or the patron can have it back. What we have, besides audio cassettes and compact discs, are video cassettes, and we do have some audiovisual equipment.
Your video cassettes, is that like we would go to the, a store and rent a video, or is it different? I mean, basically those are movies, right?
Yes.
Popular films. Is that what you have in your collection?
No, it isn't. And we actually made an effort when we started this collection to contact the local video stores that were there at that time. I'm sure there are a few more now, since nearly every corner store has videos these days, and ask them if they minded if we carried videos and that we would very consciously carry educational video and not feature films. We have a few stories on tape, mostly short stories. We mostly try to tie them into literature rather than just carrying a feature film. We have one adult feature film, Death on the Nile, which is an Agatha Christie movie. So we feel that that ties into literature.
I see.
For the most part, they are educational or how-to kind of videos. How to play golf, how to repair your furniture, how to put on your makeup, that kind of thing. There are a number
Things
of them
critical to life in general.
Right. There are things about baby care, dog care. For kids, there are a lot of stories. For the younger kids, that's what they're really interested in. They're less interested in the non-fiction kind of videotape. They're much more interested in the stories. So there are a lot of stories that would appeal to younger preschool kids or younger school-age kids.
Okay, so that's for the video cassettes that are available. And the audio cassettes, how do they, what range of topics do they cover?
We have a lot of music cassettes.
What kind of music?
We try to make it as broad a range as possible. We have jazz, new age, pop, rock, classical, country, not a lot of folk. Unfortunately, we haven't found too many good distributors of folk.
I see.
Good, reasonably priced distributors of folk. So we're still looking around for that. We don't have a lot of folk. There is a place where we'd be delighted for some donations if anyone has any good folk audio cassettes they want to donate. What we also have are cassette books. Abridged, they're mostly abridged or short stories on cassette. And they're pretty well used. They're used by people who are going on trips and want something for the children to do, invalids, people who can't. The late Kenny Zeben, who was a young person who had a muscular disease, used our audio cassettes quite a bit because he could listen. He couldn't manipulate pages, but he could listen to stories, and he really enjoyed them quite a bit.
So are your videos and audio cassettes things that can be taken out of the library, or do they have to be enjoyed here?
Unfortunately, they can't be enjoyed here because we don't have the space to set up the equipment that we do own, the audio cassette decks and the video cassette decks. We only have one video cassette deck, correction. We don't have space to set them up here for people to view them without disrupting other patrons. So they can go out, yes, and they go out for the same length of time that a book does.
So obviously this is one of the areas that you're hoping will alter, I assume, if the referendum passes and you're in a new facility.
Exactly. We very much enjoy having that space to make those services available to people in the library, that they can come in and watch a video if they don't have a video machine at home, or they can come in and listen to the tape before they take it out to make sure it's what they want, or they can come in and do their homework and listen to rock music.
Yeah, not even get the family upset about it, huh?
That's right. That's right. So they'll all have headphones with them so that they won't be disrupting other patrons, but there will be a separate room for that to happen.
Right. One of the things I'm really interested in, I guess because I've been getting into word processing lately and I don't own a computer, but I wish I did, is the idea of being able to come down to the library to, do some word processing on the computer. Is that happening at present? I've heard that you've got one.
Yes, we have two actually. They bought two Apple IIe's when they set up the previous circulation system. This one runs through City Hall. They have a big mainframe computer in City Hall, and we're distant terminals, so we're just running through that mainframe. The two Apples, one of them is in use as a word processor in the back room, and the other one just sitting in the closet. So again, those are pieces of equipment we already own, but we can't make available to the public because of space.
I've always been curious what happens behind this little desk when I check out a book. Exactly what comes up on this computer that you see?
This is it has a few faults, the system, but basically it's a very good system. It allows us to check in a book, reserve a book, search for a book in our collection, search for a patron, search under subject, and these are other functions like updating
So this is outdating the card catalog?
It will eventually. It hasn't yet. When we put in the system, it was put in a great rush, and we don't have subjects in here for some 27,000 volumes yet. And that's one of the projects we will have to undertake when we get into the new library, because we want to have an online catalog for people to simply go up and search a book on the computer. They can't do that yet, but we're hoping in the new library that that will come about.
Here we are in the reference section of the library, about which people, I think, normally think just encyclopedias and dictionaries exist. Do you have any more interesting things in reference than that?
We certainly do. Of course, there are quite a variety of dictionaries and encyclopedias as well, so don't discount them immediately. Here's an illustrated dinosaur dictionary. As we know, dinosaurs were very popular recently. Here's a great song thesaurus, if you're looking up, and I actually had an instance to use this recently where somebody was looking for the title of a particular song and what show it had come from. And this is a very useful book. Dr. Axelrod's Mini Fish Atlas. So this is all for freshwater aquarium fishes, and that is a very extensive book. It's something very useful and interesting if you have your own fishes. Timetables of science. Chronology of the most important people and events in the history of science. That can be interesting.
I can see one that I would really get into up there on the top. How to do just about anything.
This is a wonderful book. In fact, I own it at home. It is very well used. It has literally how to do just about everything, from how to make fondue to how to put together all about electric circuits, dry rot. See, it's how to braid, ironing. It has just about everything. How to cook an omelet. It literally has just about everything in it. All those little things that you're trying to remember how to do and don't have somebody to ask.
I hear that you have quite a extensive foreign language section also.
It's not as extensive as we'd like, but again, they're on loan from Multilingual Services, which is part of Library Services branch. We have a small collection of German books and of French. The French are over there because it's not considered a foreign language. It's a second official language, of course. We bring in a variety of different languages, about 25 books of each at a time. Here we have a Spanish book, Ukrainian, and German. We also have Dutch in at the moment, Russian and Italian and Chinese. Did you get that?
Could you repeat it in Russian, please?
Right. I can't speak Russian myself. We've actually had to have a translator in to help us catalog them because they're in the Russian alphabet, which is not the Roman alphabet.
I imagine you must get a significant demand for Russian books from people in the Doukhobor community.
I wish we had a better one. I think people don't know they're here, and though I've done my best to try to publicize them, I think we haven't reached as many users as we'd like yet, and that's something we'll be working on. And maybe in a new accessible facility, we'll be able to have more people coming in and making use of these resources.
I'm curious, how long have you been with the library now here?
Since just about 2 years now, since April '88.
Who do you find at the present time uses the library the most? Which group of people tend to use the library the most?
I think that would be difficult to say because, in fact, we have quite a broad range of people who use the library. There are people who come in just to get popular fiction out. There are other people who are confirmed mystery readers. And there are people who like contemporary fiction and go for a range of that kind of stuff. Or there might be another patron who just comes in to get a book out on how to fix his plumbing. Or her plumbing, as the case may be. So we have quite a broad range, and we have a range from toddlers, mothers bringing their infants in here, as a matter of fact. They're not reading yet, but they're learning what a library is. But from the age of about 2 on up, we have library users till we have library patrons in their 80s. So it's quite a broad range of people who use the library, and because we have that variety of materials available, as well we have for elderly patrons or for vision impaired patrons, we also have large print books, which are very well used. We can't seem to keep enough of them on the shelf.
So what group would you like to target drawing into the library more? Is there a group that you feel you miss somehow or can't reach?
There is one group that I would say we don't reach as well as we could, and that's the teen, especially the older teens. Up until grade 9 or so, they're still fairly regular library users. Once they get into LVR, we lose them. And I don't know if it's because they go to David Thompson Library then for their research needs. I'm not sure where they go for their recreational reading. There's still high school students who use the library, but they're much smaller number. They drop off fairly dramatically at that point.
Are you connected in any way with the library at the David Thompson Library?
Not in any kind of official capacity, though we do have very regular correspondence. We have made an effort not to duplicate each other's periodical collections. We share, they store all our Statistics Canada, with a few exceptions, or a few that we keep here. So we're the depository for Statistics Canada materials, but we don't have the space to house them. So they store most of them up there. We have very amicable relationship. They have things that we don't have, like the Kootenai archives, and they have a microfilm reader. They have all of the Nelson Daily News back to the Daily Miner, the very first newspaper in Nelson on microfilm. And we make use of those facilities for our own research and to recommend people, to refer people.
Right. I guess my concept is somehow, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I may well be, that this library, the public library, is one that people would come to get more kind of entertaining reading material, but that if one, like if I were doing a research paper, or if I wanted to research a subject extensively, I would tend to think of going towards a university library rather than coming to this one. Is that incorrect thinking?
I think it would depend on the level that you were doing your research. Certainly that may be why we have more younger school-age kids in here, because they can find the materials they want, and perhaps when they get into the older grades in high school, they're looking for very specific academic kind of subjects, and they can find more of what they want perhaps at David Thompson or at Selkirk College. David Thompson's, the one major difficulty with David Thompson's collection now is that it's out of date. Their most current books are 1984, so if you're looking for a current scientific piece of information, you're not going to find it there. And
Are you going to find it here?
You might. It's certainly worth checking. We are trying to build up our nonfiction collection, in particular our science collection, because it's a little weak at the moment, and we're spending some money and effort in upgrading it. The other place to check, of course, would be Selkirk College.
I hear
we
that
can get interlibrary loans. So just to go on,
good.
We can get interlibrary loans from Selkirk College very easily. And as well, there's a much improved and enriched interlibrary loan system within the Library Services branch now. And we're getting books from the National Library in Ottawa, Edmonton Public Library, Calgary, Saskatoon. We're getting them from all over Canada.
How long is it taking to get here?
Much faster now. What we're doing now, it used to take, sometimes you could wait for a couple of months to get a book. And that was very frustrating, I think, for a lot of patrons. And of course, the interlibrary loan system wasn't used as well. But they recently did a study, I believe it was in 87 or 88. The Library Services branch, or the province itself, commissioned a study of library services in the province. And one of the things they targeted was the interlibrary loan system, because they had what they call only a 40% fill rate, meaning they were only filling 40% of the requests they were getting, and they thought that was very low.
It's pretty dismal.
So they've done vast improvements. They've given each library in BC has been given a microcomputer with a modem in it, so that we can now communicate with each other by electronic mail.
Oh, great.
We're all hooked up to Envoy. And that in itself has made our request time, our fill time, a lot faster. We've been receiving books within 2 weeks or less.
That's
in some
great.
cases. And even from places like Calgary and Edmonton.
We were here a little earlier in the week to film the accessibility race, kind of highlighted how difficult it is to get into the present facility, and we'll probably be having a little footage from that in a bit on this show to show you what it's like.
The other major difficulty with this particular library, and there are two accessibility problems. One is getting up the stairs, as you saw and as you will see in that footage, and the other is getting through the stacks, and I hope you may also get a glimpse of that. It was interesting to watch one of the patrons, one of the participants in the race, try to get a book off a lower shelf with his crutches. And he had to put the crutches aside and lean down and get the book, and it was a good experience for him, I think, to realize how difficult it was.
Not to mention the fire escape exit.
Yes, indeed.
Quite
it
interesting.
It would be nearly impossible, especially if we had, what we've been recommended is to have no more than 40 people in here at a time. Even with 40, it would be difficult to get out of there safely, especially if there was somebody on crutches.
It was pretty much a single file affair. Anyway,
each one of you, as you go through, is going through racing alone. You will have either Matt or Harv, who are our safety people, with you to make sure you don't fall. All right, so take it easy, but go fast.
Do we have to come back from that door on the crutches?
Yes, we got to finish line right here.
Cameron, you get to go in about a minute. Okay? Hey, Matt, you're supposed to...
These are 913, 914.
Oh, that's a 915?
Yeah, you're directing me in the wrong direction, you know?
Well, no, it was more this way. That's true.
So it'll probably be down.
Go a little faster. Probably read that one already.
See, you got some pictures. Yeah, right there.
thanks, Deb. I really appreciate your taking the time to kind of give us a little glimpse into the workings of the library and the breadth of what we can expect to gain from using this facility.
There's certainly lots more. We've just touched on it.
Great. Well, hopefully some new things will happen in the new library.
We hope as well. There's a lot more to offer.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Compact discs, computers, video cassettes. I wonder what the library will come up with next. Well, it's just great. And thanks, Deb, for taking us on this behind-the-scenes look at the modern Nelson Library. Remember, viewers, get out this Saturday and be sure to vote in the Library Referendum. And later tonight, coming up right after Nelson today, we have the Mud Pig Mountain Bike Challenge. From Whitewater, the fun race to end the season. This time the mountain bikes took over from the skis.
Get that dog in there too. Yeah, okay. Well, go for that 5-second penalty here, Harry Dangle.
Following that, we have business opportunities at your doorstep. Wayne Watkins from the Ministry of Regional and Economic Development interviewed the Honorable Howard Dirks, MLA, and Doug Roberts and Barry Taylor, directors of the Nelson District Chamber of Commerce, about the upcoming conference at CIC on April 28th.
I'd like to ask Honourable Howard Dirks. Howard, 85% of new jobs created by the private sector are created really by small business. Is this a trend that you expect to continue, particularly in this region?
Well, very definitely, especially in this region. We are blessed with a diversity in our economy. And I think the other key factor that I think is very important is the fact that most of the new jobs are created by people in the area. And that's why I'm really excited about this program coming to town.
The purpose of this Business Opportunities at Your Doorstep Conference is to identify realistic business opportunities for people in this area. Do you feel that the Nelson area, this region, has potential opportunities for growth in the small business sector for the people that are already living in the area?
Very definitely, extremely. This is where the potential really is.
Then Wednesday at 8 o'clock live, hosted by George Miller, will be a newsmaker show. The topic is yet to be announced, so be sure to watch your telepages for more information. That's live at 8 p.m. Then we have the Balladeers, a trio of Kootenai musicians, Michael Winetchuk, Pete Harasamau, and John Milosevic will entertain you with their songs and ballads from various parts of the world.
У містечку Богуславську, Анюського пана, там гуляла Кондарівна, як сягає пан. У містечку Богуславську сидять
And then we have the usual gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Nelson City Council meeting of April 17th.
More raw data concerning the present multiple family housing stock in Nelson, how it's being used, the condition that it's in, and so forth. So they will be providing guidance to the committee and the committee members through their various associations and organizations that they are part of will come up with the...
And then Thursday from the Trail Castlegar area, we have at 5 p.m. Panorama Italiano, and 6 p.m. West Kootenai Today. At 6:30 p.m. we have the Nutrition Grand Prix, and at 7 p.m. Chamber Chat. And again, a Friday special at 10 a.m. we will be covering live from Victoria via satellite the opposition speech from Provincial Parliament. So that's it for our show tonight. We hope that you enjoyed it and that you'll join us next time for Nelson Today.